Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has released a ton of new footage ahead of its release, several promos and featurettes, even a full trailer tucked into a Disney shareholder meeting. I am currently working on deep dives of Guardians Volume 1 and Volume 2 for the Deep Dive channel coming later this month, and I found all kinds of new Easter eggs, discovering new insights into James Gunn's plan for Volume 3, so I'm going to break down all this new footage for Volume 3, including some really cool details. And let's start with the newest trailer clip from this week called Greatest Hits. After some shots from the past films and past trailers, we get some new stuff here.
I will destroy the Guardians. It's time to say goodbye.
Summer begins.
It's a face-off.
All right, some new shots of the villain, Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary, Marvel's ultimate geneticist, known for experimenting on animals to create human hybrids, and it seems like Rocket was one of these. Herbert's face looks especially pulled back, so who knows how old this guy is, but Peter says an interesting line, it's gonna be a face-off, which might be more of the guy's forced wordplay. Like, what if this fight ends with Peter Quill ripping Wyndham's face off? Of course, Peter Quill wouldn't have been on Earth to see John Woo's 1997 face-off film, but despite the extreme violence of this move, I could see James Gunn making this reference in an off-screen kill that makes everyone on-screen puke. We also get some more context about Herbert Wyndham's flying fortress as it rises out of waves on an alien planet with a bridge, much like Tiamat rising out of Earth. Perhaps Wyndham hid his fortress beneath the ground of Counter-Earth. I do think Wyndham has a connection to the Celestials and to Nowhere, which is the Guardians' new home base, and that Wyndham may be trying to replicate their creation and world-building process, as Celestials have played a big role in all of the Guardians films. Let's take a look at the next clip.
I guess we'll die trying.
I am Groot.
I know who you are already!
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Are you ready? I was 8 years old when I left Earth.
You want me to drive?
No.
I'll drive.
Figure out how to put it in backwards.
Yeah, so I've spoken before about this fleshy structure that the Guardians float down onto, and it seems like they're going to explore the inside of it, a facility with yellow liquid that flows through it and guys in these bulky suits. My theory is that we are looking at the flesh and spinal tissue of a massive Celestial. And in Guardians Volume 1, we saw the skull of the Celestial Nowhere, and Tanelator Tavon mined yellow spinal fluid from that, and I think the yellow liquid in this facility is the same stuff. We see a few new critters showing up in this location, a white furry fellow with red eyes and spider legs, and a big boy, a bear crossed with an octopus with robotic appendages, and Gamora slices this guy open, releasing yellow fluid. I think these are all creations of Herbert Wyndham using celestial fluid to endow them with a higher form of sentience, which is why these creatures are able to speak in humanoid-like languages. So that way, Peter Quill, Mantis, and Rocket would all come from a celestial bloodline. Technically, Swole Groot might as well, as I've argued, since his Flora Colossi photonic knowledge would come from a photosynthesis process feeding off of celestial light of those nearby him. We get a few cameos in here too. One of the workers is Nathan Fillion, who cameoed as the blue alien prisoner in Volume 1 and was gonna cameo in Volume 2 on the Missouri Cinema marquee as actor Simon Williams, but the character Simon Williams is now gonna be played as a superhero Wonder Man by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II in the MCU. And then we see Sylvester Stallone returning as Stakar Ogord, top leader of the Ravagers, but now notice how his suit really lights up here, looking like his Starhawk form that he takes in the comics when he merges with his wife Alita Ogord, and the Hawk deity just kind of powers both of them up like this. Now, Alita Ogord was played by Michelle Yeoh in Volume 2, and now that Michelle Yeoh showed up as a new character in the MCU in Shang-Chi, and you know, she won a freaking Oscar, they might not bring her back for this movie. It just suggests the two characters have merged and got to keep Sly Stallone's face. Gamora snaps back at Groot for repeating I am Groot, calling back Peter Quill, initially not understanding Groot's language in the kiln in Volume 1.
I am Groot.
I know who you are already!
I am Groot.
Yeah, you said that.
It's just so sad that they've hit the reset button on Gamora, since this is a variant from Avengers Endgame who doesn't have the history with the others, which means that she can no longer understand the variances in Groot's words. She was not there for We Are Groot. I think that was the moment they all started to really hear Groot and what he was saying. Now, if you're trying to make a sandwich, you can't go wrong with cold turkey, but if you're trying to break a bad habit, there are better options like Fume. Now, there's nothing wrong with habits, it's just the bad parts that need to be addressed. Instead of a severe change, why not just remove the bad from your bad habit? Well, Fume is an innovative award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it? Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit that you are free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable flavor airflow dial. Woo! 2 that is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and for anxiety while breaking your habit. Using a Fume is like having a breath of fresh minty air coming out of a world-class fidget toy that looks like it came from a schmancy gift shop. Stopping a bad habit is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. So join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code NEWROCKSTARS to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code NEWROCKSTARS to save an additional 10% off your order today. And we end with this hilarious reminder that Peter Quill was only 8 when he left Earth and thus never learned how to drive a car. Interesting how the car seats have these beaded seat covers. Maybe something to help the fur-covered animalistic drivers here encounter Earth. Not really sure about that. But let's move on to the trailer that was in the Disney shareholder meeting hosted by CEO Bob Iger. Here there is a quick shot of the Zune on Peter Quill's hip. On its screen you can see the top menu, artists, playlists, songs, genres, and it's sorted by decade, 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but not after that point, because people stopped using Zunes after that. This is the Zune that used to belong to Yondu and replaced the Sony Walkman that was crushed by Ego in Volume 2. This was the device that they played Cat Stevens' father and son over Yondu's funeral, and it will play a very big deal in this film, especially now that the Volume 3 soundtrack has been revealed, and it ends with Redbone's Come and Get Your Love, which played over the opening credits of the first movie. Interestingly, Rocket seems to be holding the Zune in the past trailer and in the Funko figurine, so it's going to be important to him. A close-up shows Groot's bulky fingers cranking up some controls in a cockpit seat as Rocket climbs into his. Looks like they're piloting 2 smaller spacecraft through a debris field. This is not the big new Guardian ship, the Bowie, but maybe these could be deployable craft that detach from the larger ship of the Bowie. Returning from Volume 2, Aisha, the Sovereign, says,
"These Guardians are more powerful than you think."
She's in a gold-colored setting, and a recent Empire photo shows that her cocoon creation of Adam Warlock is sitting right behind her. Drax throws one of these suited guys in that facility I talked about, which does, you'll notice, have the High Evolutionary on all the screens. In one shot, Drax picks up the guy and his head is covered, but when he tosses him, he no longer has the head covering. This might be Nathan Fillion's character, I'm not sure. Now we get this crazy new shot of Swole Groot, but just his head. He's crab walking around with smaller branches as his legs, kind of looking like that other creature we talked about before, but also the crawling spider head form of the alien shapeshifter in John Carpenter's The Thing. Maybe Adam Warlock or someone decapitated Groot in a brawl, but Groot survives. The funniest thing about this is just the music, where we hear, "I'm out of my head, can't take it." In the Counter-Earth suburb, Drax clotheslines a mouse or a weasel person on a motorcycle, while Mantis blows a pinwheel. Here's a quick shot of Rocket slurping some milky-looking fluid in front of a cooler that has a Kree language written on it. The top word is milky, can't read the bottom one yet. Kraglin now has full command over Yondu's Yaka Arrow and whistles it to take out these drones in Nowhere. Seems like Kraglin and Cosmo are going to be anchored in Nowhere, which makes sense. Cosmo is really the chief of security of Nowhere in the comics. And then we'll end here with the April 5th Face Off promo.
Some corners of the universe consider him God.
It's a face-off. Well, I guess we'll die trying. I decided die trying ain't our thing no more.
Yeah, again, back to this phrase of face off, which is even the name of this promo. I think that face is literally going to come off. Gamora says Wyndham is considered a god in many corners of the galaxy, and I think all this really supports the theory that Wyndham is playing God, assuming the role of the creators of the cosmos, the Celestials. Volume 3 really seems like the film that will one-up the Eternals in the way that it reframes the question of intelligent design. And speaking of which, we finally learned the species name of that new critter, presumably another one of Wyndham's experiments, Blurp. That's the thing's name, but gun confirmed, its species is a Fasaki. We actually already saw a hairless Fasaki fighting an Orloni in the bar on Nowhere in Volume 1. Blurp is just a furry Fasaki. So again, next Friday, April 21st, we'll begin our rewatch series of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 on the Deep Dive channel, with the Deep Dive of Volume 2 coming the following week. So please subscribe, keep an eye out for those videos, you're going to love them, and you can support our growing network by grabbing something from our merch store at nerdriot.shop. Subscribe to New Rockstars on YouTube and on all social platforms. Follow me at EA Voss. Thanks for watching. Bye.